The word depression has actually been used by a lot of people for the wrongest thing. What do we actually mean when we talk about depression, and how does this thing called depression, how can it affect you? And if you are depressed, how can you identify that you are depressed, and then how can you treat it? And also, what are the dangers of not treating this condition that we call depression? You would find out all this in today's video. Just stay tuned, and just bear with me, because I would really be unveiling, I'll be revealing some things to you that you probably did not know about depression. Okay, so tell someone to tell someone to tune in and watch this video. If you're an old subscriber, thank you for always coming back. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. Okay, and if you are just a viewer, thank you so much. I hope you find value in this video. Do not forget to subscribe, okay, like, and also comment, because I love hearing from you. So without no further ado, let's get straight into this video. Now, before we get into the video, you see me looking down a lot because I have my notes with me. Just bear with me, okay? Depression is a disorder, and a disorder is not normal. It is a mood disorder that causes persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest. Okay, this is a persistent feeling of sadness, and it leads to loss of interest in things generally. Okay, it affects how you think and react to things generally. Depression actually affect how you think and how you react to some certain situation. So this is my own definition of depression. Now, before we dive too deep into this topic, let me tell you about the types of depression that we have, because sometimes people just mix things up. We have different types of depression. Okay, we have different types of depression, but for the sake of this discussion, I'll just narrow it down to three. The first one we actually have is mild depression. This is it could happen, you could feel depressed for some days, weeks. At least you can just maneuver your way around it. It's just mild, basically. The second one I'll be talking about is the moderate depression. Now, when we say moderate depression, what are we talking about? We are saying at this point is no longer mild, but we still consider moderate. But at this point, you begin to lose lots of interest in a lot of things you used to find interesting. Okay, I'll still explain all this very well, but I'm just trying to tell you the types of depression we have, the categories of depression we have. And lastly, we talk about the major depression, the severe depression. Yeah, you can't even hide it from anyone that you are depressed, because when people see you, or people around you, when they see you, they actually just know, they can sense that something is wrong with you, and they can actually sense that you are depressed. So do not forget, we have three types, three categories of depression. The first one is mild, the second one is moderate, and the third one is major or severe depression. The word depression has actually been abused by a lot of people, and this is because they do not know what we really call depression. Okay, because let me say someone steals your phone, and you are sad, and then you start telling people, I'm depressed. You probably get into a fight with your partner, and definitely you feel bad, and then you say, I'm depressed. You do not have money, your pocket is sort of empty, and you're like, I'm depressed. Let me see, you probably broke up with your partner, and then you are like, I'm depressed. Okay, feeling sad does not automatically mean you are depressed. Okay, so all these things are actually not really what you say or what you consider as being depressed. Okay, this is not what you can say, okay, because I'm feeling sad because of a situation, that equally that already means, that automatically means I'm depressed. No, depression doesn't really work like that. Okay, one thing you should know is that depression is usually triggered by something. Okay, depression is usually triggered by something, although no one actually knows what actually causes depression. but we know the things that can lead up to what is called depression. We know that there are numbers of reasons that can actually make you depressed. Okay, so now let me just say something. Depression, like I said earlier, is triggered by something. There's usually a seed for depression. Okay, it must be a seed. It's coming from something. I said earlier that feeling sad about something doesn't necessarily mean you are actually depressed. But when these seeds, when these things, when those situations actually now sow seeds in your life, in everything you do, this can actually make you depressed. Okay, don't get it twisted. The fact that you are sad about something doesn't mean that you are depressed. But by the time those things now sow a seed, by the time they sow seeds in your life, it could trigger what we call depression. Okay, so depression is usually triggered by something. Examples of a lot of things that could sow that seed. Death of someone you love, so death of a family member. We have weight gain, we have weight loss, we have substance use. When you use substance or alcohol use, could also make you depressed. We have family history. Probably in your family, your genetics are actually are the ones whereby you find yourself depressed. Your hormones, pregnancies, when you have, even after pregnancy, what we call postpartum depression. A lot of things can trigger these things. We have conflicts, probably conflicts with your friends, with your family members, can also trigger this thing called depression. Health conditions can also trigger depression. So there are lots of reasons that can trigger depression. Depends on the individual and the situation they find themselves in. Okay, now a lot of people just really want to know if they are depressed, because some of you are just sitting down at home and you're like, am I actually depressed? Am I not depressed? Like, what should I do? And some people are actually in denial. They already know they are depressed, but they are in denial. And some people are just like, what, let me just know if I'm actually depressed, and if I'm depressed, let me know what to do. So now I'll be sharing the symptoms of depression that probably you've not heard before, or the one you've heard before but you're not taking cognizance of. So I'll be looking into my book a lot now, because I wrote a lot of things down. So the first thing I would like to talk about is the persistent feeling of hopelessness. When you are depressed, one of the first things to look out for is feeling hopeless. You just don't you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Everything is just gloomy to you. You have thoughts, bad thoughts in your head. You constantly think, I'm not good enough. You say to yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, life is not worth living. I spoil everything I come in contact with. I'm useless, I'm worthless. When you say stuff like this to yourself, occasionally it could actually hint at the fact that you are actually depressed. The second thing I'll talk about is you just want to hide yourself. Given any opportunity, you just want to hide yourself. When you go out, you don't want to be seen. You just want to stay somewhere and just probably hide somewhere. And this actually shows in the kind of clothes you actually put on. You shy away from bright colors, then you start switching more to dark colors just because you want to attract less attention. You start wearing looser clothes or clothes that are not really flattering because you just don't really want to. You just don't really want the attention on you. Okay, so all this also can also point at the fact that you are depressed. I'm trying to make everything short so that at least this video will be nothing like, let me see, probably a 20-minute video. Also, let me see, I also wrote here that any excuse not to go out. By the time you find yourself you just don't want to go out, you just don't want to face the outside world, you just want to lock up yourself in your room, you don't want to see anyone. You probably made plans with your friends that, okay, we are going out today, and you are always canceling. I get the fact that sometimes all of us can get lazy. You plan a girl's day out, you plan to hang out with your bodies, and you're like, no, I'm not going again, because you're just feeling lazy. That's a different case. But by the time you just do not want to go out, you find any excuse not to go out, it could actually mean that you are depressed. You also find relief in alcohol and substance use. You have all this pain, you have a lot of things, like you're feeling hopeless, and the only way you feel you can cope is by using alcohol or substance usage. You just keep using it because the way it makes you feel, it makes you actually feel like, maybe for the it just makes you feel alive, it makes you numb to all those things like that are really causing the pain. So by the time you see that you are now indulging in substance usage, you now find alcohol your best friend, it could actually mean that you are depressed. The moment your happiness is now attached to food, when you see food, it's like that's the only thing that can make you happy, and then you keep going at it. You are eating excessively, it could also mean that you are actually depressed. And on the flip side, by the time you look at food and you're like, I'm not even interested in food, I don't even want to see food, or you're not even thinking about food, where you are not eating so well, it could actually also point that you are depressed about something. Okay, also you begin to isolate yourself. Isolation and depression, they go hand in hand. You begin to isolate yourselves from friends, it could actually mean you are depressed. You are also unable to concentrate on things, all the things, your hobbies, your work, everything that used to make you happy, you are unable to concentrate on it. It could also mean that you are depressed. Okay, sleeping excessively, or on the flip side, not getting enough sleep, could also mean that you are depressed. You probably have a lot on your mind, or your brain is just not resting, or you're probably sleeping just to while away time, or sleeping to run away from your pain. So all this could also hint at the fact that you are depressed. You persistently feel incomplete. There's just a void, there's just this empty place in your life that you just can't really place it. You continually feel like you are empty, you really can't do anything about it. You keep feeling like you are empty. This could also mean that you are depressed. And also forced happiness, you really just can't get yourself to be happy for someone. Probably someone is celebrating something and you're just not in the mood to celebrate, but you can't show that I'm not happy about it, so you have to force happiness. When you see that you are constantly forcing happiness, probably to put up a happy face for someone, to a happy front for your friends, or you just cannot find that happiness in you to relate with someone else's happiness. By the time your happiness is forced, it could actually also mean that you are depressed. Okay, now let me run through the other symptoms. Okay, like I already said, loss of interest in your hobbies. Low sex drive also could also mean that you are depressed about something. Now let's talk about the fact that you get angry and irritated about a lot, about even the slightest thing. The things that probably some people will laugh about, you get so angry about it, you get so defensive about it, you get so irritated at people. This could also mean that you are depressed. And also lastly here, I said sometimes probably you used to be outgoing, before you know it you are now an introvert. Even among people, you find it very difficult to communicate, you find it very difficult to talk, and you just talk only when needed, or talk just little talk here and there. This could also mean that you are depressed. Now I've talked about lot of symptoms of depression, and these are things that you might not even come across on the internet. These are things that I personally just made a research on. Okay, so check yourself, check these symptoms. If you have any of this happening to you, at least I think I've mentioned over 12 symptoms. Okay, now guys, if you have 5 of these symptoms that is happening to you, it could actually mean that you are depressed. And the next part of the video, I want you to take it serious. Okay, because you need to do something about it.